is our first podcast episode of the Natural Born Growth Hackers. So why we chose this name for this new podcast is because myself, growth hacking is the easiest way to, start a venture and save your money, because you're going to be getting all organic, natural followers that you're really just grinding and hustling to try to get those first initial customers of whether it be a brand or even just an idea stage. And your early supporters that are supporting your concept, this is where the growth hacking really comes into play. This could be through LinkedIn, it could be through just copying a concept and placing it on Craigslist. Airbnb, actually, they really started out how they blew up initially. They posted all of their listings on Craigslist, and Craigslist was okay with it initially because it was helping grow their business as well. So I'm a big growth hacker because I know it saves so much money in the long run by getting these early supporters through this avenue that people don't normally think about. They think, oh, let's just run Facebook ads, let's run Instagram ads, let's throw ads on, all these different platforms out there that charge you. You're going to get your highest qualified leads through growth hacking, whether that be just going on a Facebook group and DMing people, or there's just so many different avenues that you can use and facilitate to help yourself get leads that people don't normally use. So this is kind of why we're creating this podcast, and we want to help entrepreneurs like yourself if you are an entrepreneur as well.
Even business people, not even just entrepreneurs.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone that's really needs assistance in finding another resource to help them get leads, get customers, build an audience, create a community. We're creating this podcast to help you and help all of them as well. Build that initial audience and really create a loyal fan base. That's what growth hacking is all about. And let's just give a brief background of ourselves, and we'll start off. So my name is Chris. I'm the co-founder of the Dive Live dating app, and I'm also the co-founder of Division 42. So right here, that's our sponsor right there for today's episode. And basically, I got into this entrepreneur background right out of college. I worked for a real estate tech startup called LoftSmart. I was with them from their seed round all the way through their Series A. And then right when COVID happened is when they took a different direction, and that's where I started my own phase of learning and starting ventures and really leaving that 9-to-5 mindset. But working at a startup initially right out of college, I was completely away from that 9-to-5 mindset anyways. And my title was actually pretty much the growth hacker for the region for LoftSmart, and it was just focused on a different platform for students to find and sign and apply and sign their leases on our platform. We made it a lot easier, and it was a great experience, great learning experience. I met a lot of really cool entrepreneurs that are scaling and starting and scaling and growing their companies right now, and we're doing the same thing. So we want to create this podcast to get out there and talk about the stuff that we struggle with as entrepreneurs, and also help anyone else that's trying to go down that same path of not wanting to continue to work a 9-to-5. But that's my background. Also the founder of the Ekoalaty Project NFT that we're grinding and working on right now, which is also collaborating with my dating app. But I'll get into that more throughout these episodes and probably this episode as well. But Joe, give your background, talk about where you came from, what brought you here, your background on real estate, Division 42, everything. Just go for it.
Awesome. So my name is Joe. I'm a local realtor down here in South Florida, so I'm the head of our luxury division. I played football in college, played football pretty much my entire life, so that's really the background of me and the backbone of everything that I do. The structure, the discipline, everything for sports I feel like really relates to business, and that's really how I got introduced to Chris through flag football. And that's how we became the co-founders of Division 42. I think the biggest thing with entrepreneurs, especially in today's day and age, everyone wants to see something instant gratification. And that really doesn't happen. I mean, you see it on Instagram and social media and stuff, but that's not reality. I mean, business is no different than working out in sports. Like, the more work you put in with the diet, training, routine, practice, the more you're going to get out. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it's going to happen down the road, and it's that continuous compound effect. And we just want to be able to exemplify that and show that to everyone out there, that like what you're doing is going to pay off. You just have to be patient and give it time. I think the biggest thing we got to talk about is explain them what growth hacking is to begin with. I mean, a lot of people probably don't even know what it is because they just want to go out and spend money on ads.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, honestly, like, growth hacking is just like the simplest way for you to gain traction in whatever your venture is. Like, you could be selling lemonade, you know? You're obviously not going to go run ads in your neighborhood. I mean, you could do that, but you're going to be wasting a lot of time. But let's say, like, the most basic example. You're selling lemonade on your corner, like, in your neighborhood, right? Growth hacking for that could be, you know, knocking on your neighbors' doors, letting them know tomorrow we're having a lemonade stand. It's just anywhere where you can go and create, like, a channel that is free and also is a resource for customers to come and find what you're offering. But going back to, like, the Airbnb growth hacking thing, I'm a big fan of Airbnb. I've read a lot of books that talks about, like, their upbringing. All those co-founders, like, the founder of Y Combinator describes them as cockroaches because they could not be killed, basically. They pitched to, I think it was over 100 investors until finally someone believed, like, in this concept that people would actually pay to live in strangers' houses. People never thought about that. I mean, just like Uber, like, no one thought that this $1 billion company that is around right now, it's just a conglomerate, would just completely disrupt the taxi industry. But that's what Airbnb did, and their initial growth hacking that really helped them, you know, like, explode was through putting those listings on different platforms like Craigslist. They were utilizing something else that was used for, like, you know, I mean, when I think of Craigslist, I think of where you go to find, like, some weird services, you know, like, you would never think to go there. I mean, people use it obviously to find housing, and I mean, that's what they did.
Yeah,
and
it started off as a big real estate thing, like buying and selling houses. So a lot of people got started.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just so many platforms out there that you can utilize that are, one, free.
That's the biggest thing.
And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, honestly, because when you're a startup, like, you have so little amount of money that you're starting out with. Like, most people, like, they don't save up more than $10,000 when they work for 2 years, you know. So if you're quitting your 9 to 5 to, like, create this venture, this concept, this idea that you have, every single penny counts. Not even dollar. Every single penny that you have counts. You have to use those resources, like, so. How do you describe the word I'm trying to think of?
Oh, you got to be careful. You got to count every single.
You got to be frugal for one thing, and then also too, like,
conscious of every decision that you make, because you're looking at the ROI at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if you could just be spending money, especially on, like, platforms like Facebook and Instagram, they're becoming pay to play. Like, you got to shell out a ton of money, and you're gonna get maybe a couple leads, maybe a couple hundred, but no one said they're gonna be decent. They're just people clicking on it. Especially in the beginning, you still got to build your audience because you got to retarget them, and it's just like, it's a lot longer process than people think it is.
Yeah, but I mean, essentially, like, the biggest thing that I like about Airbnb is how they were able to do that, and they just didn't quit. You know, like, that's something you need to learn from when you're starting your own company. You're not going to get instant gratification, like what Joe was saying. Like, it's gonna suck for a while until you find, like, that product market fit. Until you find those early supporters that really want to see you succeed because they like this concept. In the beginning, that's all it is. Concept, an idea, literally means nothing. It's all about execution of that idea, and that's where Airbnb, they never quit. You know, you cannot fail unless you quit, and that's one thing I've learned from a long time. Like, I started this startup Dive, and about 2 years ago, it's a dating app to help people meet in person. We partner with venues, restaurants, bars, nightclubs. I started during the pandemic, probably the worst time to start something like that. Obviously, you can't meet in person at a bar at that time, but we launched our MVP. MVP stands for Minimal Viable Product back about a little over a year ago, and we did a pivot in January to Web3. So we're focused on still creating like this niche of in-person events, IRL events, but also like kind of bridging this this gap for people to use NFT passes as a way for us to kind of step into the Web3 and crypto scene. But we're also creating a dating verse right now, which is part of this other NFT that I'm working on, this project. But regardless, like growth hacking is the way to go about just any kind of venture, really. You want to describe how you've used growth hacking in real estate? Like just some examples?
Definitely. I think the biggest way that I've used personally growth hacking in real estate is like when I first started off, I didn't have a whole lot of money to throw into advertising and things, and you know how it is. I mean, there's huge players in real estate that are spending money on billboards, and that's like 20, 30 grand a month. I didn't have that. So the big thing I did was modeling different people that I saw that were successful on social media. So I saw TikTok as a huge platform. There's exponential growth on it. I mean, the algorithm, I could watch a video and you could watch a video and it's the same exact one and we have none of the same followers or following the same things or interests. So I started modeling different videos that were on TikTok and making them and just being consistent with it. So I started off just making one a day, and now I'm up to 2 or 3 a day and just getting it out there and just growing the community at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And Chris is really, really good at growing the community and getting people to connect and really understand the mission. And you never know who's going to know who. I mean, those people could connect and then all of a sudden they become friends and do something else.
Yeah, no, 100%. And let's talk real quick about like what Division 42 is. So Division 42 is it's a supplement brand for one thing, but that's not what it is either. We want to make this be like, we want to create this conglomerate of a company where other companies follow, in the sense that we want people to donate, like companies, not just people, to donate 40% of their profits to nonprofits. 42%, yeah, sorry. That's where the name comes into play, obviously. 42% of their profits to nonprofits that support mental health and wellness charities. But the whole goal is using fitness as a means to improve like your mental state and your mind. And there's a lot of people, myself included, that have utilized fitness to, go through depression, anxiety, anorexia. There's so many different mental illnesses out there that fitness can really help you and your loved ones as well, like to battle these different things that are like in your head. And obviously it's not in your head too. Some people have serious illnesses, but fitness is one of those things where you never walk out of the gym and you're like, wow, I feel like shit. Like you always feel great unless you're sick or something. You always feel great.
Or you do a Murph that it's 100 degrees out.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you feel like shit then, but no, I mean, usually you just feel like amazing. Like, wow, you've got this adrenaline rush going. Your dopamine levels are really high. Your endorphins are going through the roof. Like you feel amazing. And that's why I'm like a huge advocate of hitting the gym. Like, just getting out there and moving. Group fitness, one of the biggest things that I talk about. I mean, that's literally how we met, was through flag football, like community sports, like those type of things that bring people together, like helping them like go towards the same goal of like, winning, getting a touchdown, whatever it may be. Like,
just being competitive in general. Like,
yeah.
People, I feel like, especially in today's now and age, they don't like the competitiveness, but let's face it, the world is competitive and it makes you better at the end of the day. Like, yeah, you could butt heads during the game or during whatever event you're doing, but at the end of the day, you're still friends. But it's just iron sharpens iron at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And yeah, I mean, basically, like, why we're doing this podcast too just ties into a way for us to, give back to our community members that are supporting Division 42 and help them go and learn and grow their own companies, their own ventures, their own, maybe what is an idea right now that could turn into, the next $1 trillion concept that's out there. You got to start somewhere, and growth hacking is the biggest way for you to like get your feet off the ground and start building a community.
And that's the big thing that you said, build a community. It's not that you don't have to go out and build a business tomorrow. That's not what it's all about. Like, building the community at the end of the day will lead to something or connect you with someone that could lead to an opportunity down the road.
Yeah, 100%. And like where we came up with the idea of starting this podcast, this was literally last Saturday. We're doing a 56-mile stationary bike cycling because we're training for a half Ironman right now. And all I'm gonna say is I'm never gonna do 56 miles again on a stationary bike in my entire life. It's gonna be on a real bike because that shit
with a bigger seat.
Yeah, that was brutal. Honestly, I mean, we did it, we finished it, but we were completely drenched in sweat. Obviously, it would be drenched in sweat outside as well, but it would have been a lot better of a a mission based opportunity for us to see the environment outside and whatnot on a bicycle as opposed to sitting in a gym
Watching people walk by.
Yeah. But we got the chance to actually listen to Russell Brunson, one of his books I think it's called Traffic Secrets. That one, it's like the trilogy of his ClickFunnels books that he created. But he actually, for the Audible version, he actually talks. It's him, like the one that's narrating the whole book. And one of the things that he talks about is how he started his first podcast out. I mean, we're probably gonna look back at this, but we plan on doing this every other week or at least a week.
Every week.
Yeah, our goal is every week. So, go back to this right here. You can hold us to it that we're posting every week. But his whole thing about creating this was, I mean, you're gonna look back and these episodes are gonna.
They don't have to be perfect. You just gotta get them out there.
Exactly. So if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, these guys are idiots. Like, we probably do sound like idiots, but we want this to turn into something that's gonna really help change entrepreneurs' lives and their mindsets, and like ignite a fuse in your own lives to go and create a following, create a brand, create a community, and get your own concepts out there to be able to help yourselves grow. I mean, the entrepreneurship community is such a tight-knit group of people. You're going to meet so many friends that are going to be like your lifetime friends. I was part of this accelerator program, actually a TV show. It's called The Blocks. It was last summer, summer of 2021. And Wes Bergman, who's this big, I didn't even know who he was, to be honest with you. When I was going into this TV show, I just swiped up on a Facebook ad. And a few days later, I get this phone call from someone's like, "Hey, my name is Wes." I'm like, "Oh, I think that's the ad that I swiped up on." I'm like, yeah, it was. Wes Bergman, he's got this huge following. He's a great person. I was on his TV show for a week. It's originally it was called Founder's House, but it's called The Blocks now. But he started an accelerator and an incubator program in Kansas City, and now I think he's got another one in Tulsa as well. But regardless, he's minted like a bunch of millionaires in his life, and he's just helped these people grow and start out their ideas and turn them into growing and scaling companies. But he created this TV show because how he got brought into this whole scene and how he really blew up was from television. He was on MTV, The Challenge. He's on like 20 different seasons of them. But he's also an entrepreneur. Like, he's got two lives. He's got his reality TV star life, and he's got the entrepreneurship life. And he basically created this this brand called The Blocks, where they put 20 different companies that live in a house for an entire week all together, and you do pitch competitions, and you learn different things throughout the day, and you get tested on them, and at the end of the day, you just battle to be the leader of the blocks, essentially. And the amount of people that I met that I still talk to this day, like, that are my great friends, we're like going to the wedding of someone I met from this TV show that I was on for a week, and it's just amazing. Like, the entrepreneurship, what I'm getting at is the entrepreneurship like community in itself is so tight knit. So everything you do matters, but everyone here is here to support you and help you grow and help you learn as you're growing. That was my biggest thing when I was getting into these startups and starting my first company out and helping it scale and whatnot. I mean, you may fail too. You're gonna fall flat in your face. I'm sure multiple times. It takes some people. I've read books where it took them like 20 different ventures until they finally succeeded. And that's the thing though too. Like, you only have to be right once. Once you're right once, you're gonna have like enough. You're gonna have that money that you're able to get from that first venture to put into new toolboxes, and you're gonna build a war chest from what you're learning, and also the money and the traction in the community that you're building. But growth hacking is just one of those things that I'm very adamant about myself. And it's in like every single book that you'll ever read about entrepreneurship and just growing and scaling companies. And I'm going to talk about a lot of books too in these podcasts because that's what I do in my spare time. When I'm in the gym, I listen to Audible. I've got about over 200 titles that I've read the past, like, I would say 3 to 4 years. And past 2 years is when the most of that's when I really started realizing, like, wow, this shit's helping me out in everything I'm doing. So yeah, that's all I have to say about the whole tight-knit community thing of entrepreneurship.
The long-winded version of it.
Yeah.
No, but I think you're right. At the end of the day, it's a big pyramid, and the base of that pyramid really is growth hacking. I mean, that's just the fundamentals of it. Once you have that idea, you just got to get it out there and talk to as many people as possible. It's, for lack of a better way to put it, it's sales at the end of the day. The more people you can talk to about it, the better you're going to be.
Exactly.
Or the better chance you have of succeeding.
No, I totally agree. So, in the future for these podcasts, I think we're gonna probably start picking some topics that we can discuss. Maybe some companies, how they blew up, even some reading, some books, essays that people wrote, just different topics that we can put out there that's gonna help anyone that has an idea right now that they want to turn into a movement or whatever it may be. Could be even be starting a nonprofit. Like, I have a lot of friends that are heavily in the nonprofit game, and we're going to talk about everything like that, and we're going to leave it at that for now. Any final thoughts that you want to say, Joe?
I think that's really it. I mean, if you guys have any topics or things you want us to discuss, definitely drop them in the comments or DM us on something, or even text us or call us. I mean, whatever way you want to communicate, LinkedIn, I mean, whatever is easiest for you, let us know. We want to help everyone that we possibly can.
Yeah, 100%. But we're going to stop it here, and if you're listening to this, this is our first one, so you're really you're in the early stages to see us and follow our journey, and we're here to help you, and we appreciate all the support that we can get.
Definitely, 100%.